สวัสดีค่ะ
Good afternoon ครับสวัสดีครับ
คุณอานนท์ค่ะ Could you tell me what is the company overseas investment policy plan for this year?
Well, just like to give you a little bit of background of our overall investment. Today we have 41 projects around 13 countries. And our policy, in fact, we still very much focus on our investment in the core areas such as in the Southeast Asia, in Australia, in Canada, and also we are actively in managing our portfolio. So we not just only invest and adding the new project, but we also sometimes divest, some of the assets that we feel we had too much exposure, such as in the deep water, New Zealand. And well, our key policy is we want to create the values. So most of our investment would be strategically focused. Come back to the 2012.
Yes.
We had allocating almost 50% of our budget for the international expansion. Most of the activity would go to Canadian oil sands.
Right.
So this year we would continue our production, so we would be able to reach the 20,000 barrel per day capacity of the oil sand production in Canada. And also in Australia, we would be able to start the first oil for the Montala project sometime in the third or fourth quarter this year. And on the ongoing project in Myanmar, so we are under the developments and expecting for the first gas in 2013 for the Sotika or the M9 project.
Yes.
As well in Algeria, we also had the oil development project, which expect to be on sometime by 2014. Other than that, we are actively in the exploration projects allowed the 13 countries, but mostly we would be spend our activities in Myanmar, in Australia. So some of them would be some kind of to confirm the potentials of the reserve and for the ongoing developments.
I see, Kun Anon. Well, being a subsidiary of the mother company of PTT with so many investments and exploration going on, how do you invest abroad and make sure that the two companies do not overlap?
Well, I think we're pretty much aligned in our corporate strategy, and we would only focus on the exploration and the production scope. We would not go beyond any of this business scope. So, in fact, we had a long-term strategy which is pretty much aligned with our parent company, and we are focused on our current, our core business.
So with Iran now being sanctioned from the United States and its allies, what seems to be the most worrisome issue now? Will disruption affect energy prices in Thailand and ASEAN?
Well, I think this has become one of the sensitivity, to all, oil company.
Yes.
In fact, we used to have this kind of similar experience, the political instability in the Middle East before. But we believe this should be a short-term issue. So even though there would be some speculation, there could be some of the oil interruption, supply interruption, but we think it will not really much affect, the worlds of the oil supply. So we believe this is going to be a short term, and it will be smoothen it out, in not being escalating.
I see.
Well, since you mentioned about Myanmar earlier, but right now Myanmar is vividly emerging out from the World Economic Forum to the international eyes. Apart those projects that you said to us earlier, what are some of the investment opportunities that PTTEP have in mind?
Well, we are in Myanmar more than 10 years, so we are kind of collecting, a number of opportunities in our portfolio. So we already have 2 producing fields this day, and we are pursuing our developments of the M9 as mentioned earlier. We also discovered the new gas field M3 last year. So we would drill more appraisal well this year and trying to commercialize this M3 in the next couple of years from now. We also have some of more offshore acreage, that we have to spend more time for our exploration in the deep water. That would be M11.
Yep.
And we're just acquiring 2 new licenses onshore, things that would be officially granted by the Myanmar government sometime the end of this month, next month. So I think we have pretty much a handful in terms of the activity and the projects in Myanmar.
Well, since we are stepping towards the AEC or ASEAN Economic Community in 2015, so what is your company's scope to focus towards this?
Well, in fact, I mentioned earlier we had our focus at the core area in the Southeast Asia, which is pretty much cover the ASEAN country, like in Myanmar, in Vietnam, in Indonesia. So that is pretty much well aligned with our next 5 years budget that we allocate 30% of our total capital expenditure, for the investment in this ASEAN, community. But, strategically, I'd just like, to share with you that, Thailand probably would be locating in a very much strategic location in the Indochina.
Yes.
Which is we could leverage, our Thai, energy market, or the I was saying, the gas market, which would allow us, to able, to help our neighboring to develop more of the resources. So this is very much, in line with the AEC, objective, that,
Yes.
We would help, the neighboring country in kind of harmonizing the investment and reducing the wealth gap, of the neighboring country.
Yes, Kun Anon, geographically, it would be a fitting role for Thailand to supply AEC. Well, thank you for joining us today, Kun Anon.